Hi, everybody. Welcome to our third podcast. My name is Colin Murphy from Torcana.com. Today, I think we've got an interesting one for you. I'm going to talk about the 7 steps necessary to buy an amazing rental property, which is pretty much the steps we take every week. And I'm going to try and talk through this presentation in terms of what we actually did last week. And to give you an idea, we analyzed more than 50 different properties. We visited 19 of them personally. We made offers on 9 of them and we got 2 of them accepted. So I'm gonna drill down into that, drilling down into really into the nuts and bolts of owning and finding and sourcing and renovating rental properties, either for yourself or to sell on to other people. And my aim is for this really to be a valuable step-by-step guide for anybody interested in this business. It is a fascinating business. Hopefully I'll give you some insights into what I and my colleagues actually do every day. We spend 12 hours a day doing all of this stuff, all this sourcing, all of this analyzing, making all these offers, doing all of these renovation budgets, overseeing the renovations, finding tenants, packaging them up turnkey for resale. Really, as you can probably expect, the day-to-day reality of doing all of that is nowhere near as glamorous as the TV shows. There must be about 100 different TV shows in America anyway, outlining, for flippers and wholesalers and rehabbers and God knows what else. They're quite entertaining, but obviously the reality of doing it every day is a little bit different. But that being said, for me, building a rental portfolio or helping other people build a rental portfolio can really change your life. It is a brilliant job. I love doing it. So the first of our 7 steps is obviously finding and analyzing potential properties. And the first thing you'll notice, if you look at any map or any property listings, even if you have a rough area that you're interested in, you'll see hundreds and hundreds of offers. If you're looking at something that's a few miles wide, there'll have to be hundreds for sale. It's really, really easy to get overwhelmed. I just took a quick look at the areas we oversee in Holiday and Port Richey and Newport Richey, which is a kind of a 10 or 15 mile stretch in northern Tampa. And there's like 1,000 different properties for sale. So it's obviously really, really important that you focus on very specific property types, property prices and locations. And look, that's not something you can do over a coffee on a Monday morning. You really need to take your time to figure that out and look at your finances, look at your plans, your goals, and spend a lot of time figuring out what's the best property types for you. And once you've done that, you'll be able to drill down a little bit more. Okay, so getting back, what did we do last week? So from February the 1st to the 5th, last Monday to Friday, we studied 50 different potential properties carefully. We found them on the MLS, the multiple listing service that realtors use, on Zillow, which is a really popular and quite useful website, Craigslist, and also on a bunch of private auction sites like Hubzu, auction.com, and yellow letters. Yellow letters are literally yellow letters that we send to people in our target areas, asking them to give us a call if they're interested in potentially selling their property for cash. So that's another way we find houses. And by studying the 50 properties carefully, I don't mean just looking at a property listing, scrolling through the photos. I'm actually talking about some serious data entry here, putting more than 70 rows of data in on each of those 50 properties into our in-house spreadsheet, which has been developed over the last few years and will look a lot different next year than it does right now. It's a continuous thing. You're always improving the way you analyze properties. So obviously these spreadsheets include the basic, the beds, the baths, the square footage, when it was built, what the market rent is, what's the asking price, but also other important things which you mightn't realize at the very beginning, but you quickly will once you start putting in offers or thinking about buying something. And that's, are there any permitting issues? Are there any liens on the property? What are the tax records saying? Have the taxes been paid? What are your rehab estimates? What are your are you setting aside contingencies for those rehabs? What are your holding costs? If you're planning to sell it to somebody else after you fix it up, you have to calculate the cost of holding that property for those 4 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks. So that includes utility costs, insurance costs, perhaps finance costs, And also, what are the running costs for that property, even when it is finished, in terms of your insurance, different type of insurance, your property taxes, your management fees, and contingencies for vacancies and maintenance. So there's a lot of stuff you need to take into account when you're finding and analyzing potential houses. We do it on a very big spreadsheet. We look at it very carefully. And so, that initial list of 50 properties, once we analysed them properly, it was pretty easy to identify the ones which weren't suitable. And we whittled that down to 19. So that was 19 properties that had to be personally visited. They were all inspected. We've gotten pretty good at it. We can usually get in and out for 45 minutes, going into each room carefully, noting what needs to be done. And I know, as an aside, we find Google Maps really useful for planning, and for planning which properties to see in which order. If you're going to see 5 or 10 a day, you don't want to do it in the wrong order. We usually start north to south. We also find looking at maps very handy. Some of the prospective properties we're seeing might be 2 blocks away or 3 blocks away from one we bought 3 months ago or 6 months ago or 9 months ago. So it's important to figure that out. If we're putting in an offer for a certain 3-bed and we renovated a 3-bed 3 blocks away, we've a good idea of what that property's worth and what it's going to rent for. So you want to keep that information handy. So we draft our renovation budgets very quickly, and they're uploaded using software like Viber Text or Viber Voice Notes or Simple Notes. We use different kinds of software that I'll happily tell you more about if you like. Just give me a call. And that's uploaded to me in real time, and I update my spreadsheets accordingly. I also get some good feedback on the local area, the streets where the properties are based. So that could be good, as in, Colin, this neighborhood is great. The gardens are very clean, really nice cars outside. It looks like a well-maintained area with a lot of owner-occupiers. Or the feedback could be quite negative in terms of, look, the neighbours have pit bull terriers and there's a load of junk in the street, or there's an abandoned RV with no wheels on the street. Things that will really, detract value from your property significantly, because there's nothing you can really do about those things. But anyway, once the numbers were updated again on those 19 properties that we visited personally, we identified 9 of them that we were interested in making an offer on. Okay, and which generally didn't have much to do with the asking price, by the way. If the asking price was $100,000 and I think 70,000 is a good offer for that property, I'm going to offer 70,000. I don't generally pay much attention to the asking prices. I'm crunching the numbers based on what I want to pay for it on my renovation budget and what I'm going to do with it after it's renovated. Okay. So step 3 is making an offer. As I said, there was 19 that we visited and we made offers on 9 of them. I'm not a big fan of making verbal offers, just ringing someone and saying, "What do you think about an offer for $60,000?" I don't like doing that. I prefer to send a signed agreement. I prefer to make the effort to fill out a contract with the seller's details, tax number of the property, the legal address of the property, an offer price, closing dates, sign it digitally. And I include a proof of funds. It just shows that we're serious and that we're ready to move quickly. So that's what we do, and you'd be surprised how effective that is, because they do take those offers seriously and they do save them. Even if they think your offer of 60,000 is too low, they'll remember it and they'll file that away. And you never know, you might get a call in 2 weeks saying, "Is that offer still on the table?" I've had those calls. But generally, if we visit a property on a Tuesday and there's, visit 6 properties on a Tuesday and I like 2 of them, I'll make the offers for those 2 properties that same day. Okay, so that same day, because the good properties tend to go quickly. The good opportunities would often disappear after a couple of days. One thing to note, a lot of the properties being sold are through banks, repossessed properties that banks own that they've relisted. And so they often have their own badly designed submission systems, which you have to kind of deal with, basically, which usually involves doing a normal contract and then filling in all the same crap all over again on their online one and then submitting it again. They often make you wait 10 days, make everybody wait 10 days and ask you to submit your highest and best offer. It all gets a little bit tedious, but what are you going to do? That they sell a lot of property and you can get good deals. Auction website systems are all very, very different from each other. My goodness, I mean, putting in offers on auction.com compared to Hubzu, compared to Pasco County, I mean, they're completely different systems, and there's completely different fees and obligations and small print involved in each one. So you really need to to be aware of them before you dive in. Okay, but that's what we do. We made offers on 9 properties. So once you've made the offer, obviously you follow up a couple of days later, see if they've had it, see if they've spoken to the seller. And of the 9 offers that we made last week, we had 2 of them accepted, which was actually pretty good, because the norm for our area, and it seems to be the norm for a lot of areas, is you get about 1 offer in 10 accepted. So that's if you're making an offer that suits you, that gives you enough margin to do what you need to do, about 1 in 10. So just remember that the next time you're keen to buy a property. In order for us to get 2 offers accepted, we had to analyze 50, had to go and visit 19 and make offers on 9 of them, and we were lucky to get 2 accepted. I would have been happy with 1, and it could have easily been 0. Okay, so it's a numbers game. You're going to have to go through a lot of properties to get, if you're looking to build a portfolio of 5 or 6 properties, you're going to have to analyze a couple of hundred of them, and bear that in mind. Okay, but anyway, once those offers were accepted and I got back a copy of the signed agreement I'd sent them, the next thing you need to do is order a property inspection, and that's an inspection from a licensed property inspector. They generally look at 5 main things, which is the dwelling, which is whether what the structure is it concrete, is it mason, is it frame. They look at the heating, ventilation and air conditioning, or HVAC for short, to see how old are the heating systems, how much life is remaining on the air conditioning unit, how old is the water heater, whereabouts is it located. They look at the electrics. Are they original to a 40-year-old home? Have they been replaced recently? Have they got some outdated aluminium wires or outdated 100 circuit switches that need to be updated? What's the plumbing like? Is it working? Are there any leaks? And also, very importantly, the roof. The roof is very, very important. How old is the roof? How long is left on it? You have a typical shingle roof has about a 15-year lifespan. So if your roof is 15 or 16 years old, you're going to need, realistically, to get it replaced. Okay. On the other hand, if it's a tile roof, you could last for 40 years, even 50 years. So roof is very important, and it can be quite expensive to fix them as well. So, excuse me. Good thing about these inspections, and they cost about $70, by the way, so it's obviously well worth doing it, is that they identify very important and potentially expensive issues to correct. I mean, anybody can walk into a property and see a kitchen from the 1980s and decide, okay, I need to spend 2,000 on counters, 1,500 in appliances, and whatever else on flooring and cabinets. I mean, that's easy. Anybody can do that. But you need an inspector to show you, that you need to spend money on electrics, plumbing, structures, roof, and God forbid there's any subsidence out the back of the house and a wall is sinking, or that there's a septic tank buried in the ground that has a leak on it. That kind of stuff can cost you $10,000-$15,000. So you really need to be aware of it. And just to give you an example of the 2 properties, I ordered inspections on them last week. One of them had some red flags, not major red flags, but red flags. There was some aluminium wiring, okay, which you can't really do. That means you require basically expensive Alumicon fuses to bring it up to code. That'll cost anything between $1,300 and $2,000, depending on the house. Okay, so that's one expense I hadn't calculated. And there was some damaged pipes, which may or may not be serious. We need to inspect them again with a general contractor. So we need to return, and we need to get an estimate to get those things fixed. And depending if I'm coming back and I need an extra $2,000 or $2,500 in expenses to fix this, I'm going back to the seller and I'm saying I've identified these issues that need to be repaired, and either they deduct it from my offer or we'll probably walk away. Unless it was an absolute steal, I'm not going to just go in and fix these things, because I made my offer based on other things in a renovation budget, and fixing, installing expensive fuses and repairing pipes wasn't part of it. But either way, anytime we have offers accepted, we visit them again with a contractor. We spend a bit longer in them, usually at least an hour per property, sometimes longer if we're reconfiguring the house or building, creating 3rd bedrooms or anything like that. And a detailed scope of work is finalized, and that's uploaded into our spreadsheets. We're looking at the numbers again. We'd also, by the way, get a property manager out there during this stage. I might have my estimate that this will rent for $925 a month, but if a property manager is telling me, you'll get $1,000 out of this. That's great news for my numbers, gives me a little bit of breathing space. But if he tells me, no, this is an $850 area, then suddenly my numbers are out of sync, and I need to do some work. I've pulled out of deals because something I thought would rent for $950 would actually rent for $850, and just doesn't work for me. I can't buy it and fix it up and sell it at a profit if it's renting at $850, but I can at $950. So you need to do as much homework as possible during the inspection period, okay? And you need to do it before your deposits become non-refundable. I mean, don't take the eye off the ball once you've had a property inspected, okay? So step 5, purchasing the home. So now that you've got your offer expected, you've got your renovation budget, you know what's going on with the house, and now purchasing the property with clean title becomes key. You or your title agent will need to identify any unpaid utility bills or tax bills. I mean, just last week I had a house that was supposed to close on the 18th of January, only closed on the 8th of February because of a stupid unpaid $150 bill. The water company and the bank that owned it couldn't figure out who's going to pay what. They kept sending emails back and forth. I chased them every 2 days, and in the end I just had to go to the water company, write them a check, get a receipt for it, send it to the sellers, and told them to get on with it. So that you need to be prepared to do these kinds of things, or get someone else to do them for you. Also, slightly more important would be any liens found on the property. You can have a lien from a bank, which could be like a second mortgage, even a third mortgage. You could have credit card company liens. Again, a property I was supposed to buy in December got pushed back to January because the owner, who was going through a short sale and was broke, had an unpaid $1,800 MasterCard bill, and MasterCard were able to put a lien on the property and hold up the sale until the poor guy convinced his mother to pay his credit card bill, and the sale could proceed afterwards. You have a lot of liens placed by home ownership associations. Somebody's not paying their $200 a month to contribute to the upkeep of the pool and the clubhouse and all that kind of stuff. They'll put a lien on the property. You can have your local county putting a lien because you had a unpermitted dumpster out in the front of your truck, or an unpermitted vehicle out the back, or you had any number of code violations. So they all need to be dealt with. So never take your eye off the ball during this period, because there's a lot of things that can come and bite you in the ass if you're not paying attention to what's going on. Probably the biggest mistakes are made by those buying at public auctions, because when you buy at a public auction, you don't have any recourse. You don't have time to do full title searches. You certainly don't have time to get title insurance. And some of the biggest mistakes you can make, you might think you've got this fabulous property at auction for $70,000 until you find out there's a $50,000 second mortgage that you're on the hook for. I mean, it happens. So, public auctions are you can get lots of good deals, but it's not for beginners. I mean, it's a bit like going on the advanced ski slopes on your first day skiing. It's probably not a good idea. You can start in private auctions where properties are being listed with clean titles, and then you can move on to the public ones after that. Okay, let's assume everything went well. You got your title, did all your title checks, you got your title insurance, you closed on the property, it's yours, congratulations. What do you need to do next? You need to get it rent ready, you need to get a tenant in there. I'm not going to go into too much detail about renovations, because that's a whole other podcast, it's a whole other book, to be honest with you, and you can read lots about that online. I'm just going to tell you that we do whatever is necessary to make the property slightly higher than average for the area, and that usually means having a really nice kitchen, good floors, probably a new roof, brand new paint, and just a clean, nice home, in very good condition, with nice photos and good descriptions to attract the possible tenants. And note, by saying higher than average standard, I'm not saying we renovate this to the same quality as your home. You might be living in a $300,000 or $400,000 2,000 square foot single family home. I'm not renovating those kinds of homes. By saying better than average, I'm just saying better than average for this area. Average prices in this area might be $95,000. My houses are renovated to a higher standard than that. Now, over renovating a property putting the same types of renovations in a property in this area than you have in your own area is a good way to lose money. Over renovating is a good way to lose money. So, but anyway, just do it slightly better than average. That's the key. And the upshot of that policy is that you'll get lots of inquiries. These areas that we work in have naturally high demand. These are nice houses. We all get lots of applications. I remember we finished 2 nice properties. One of them is here pictured for those of you watching the video. Finished renovations on the 29th of December. Advertised it for rent straight away. We had tenant applications processed and tenants signing leases by the 7th or 8th of January. All right, pretty quick, right? So that's getting your house ready, getting your tenants. So what do we do? I mean, nearly everything we buy, we keep a few for ourselves, but most of them, the whole point of this entire process, the sourcing, the analyzing, the buying, the renovating, is to provide great turnkey rental properties to our clients. That's what this game is all about. Okay, if you buy $100,000 property from us, we want you to earn $8,000 to $9,000 net every year, 8 or 9% net. Okay, and by that I mean include your insurance, you include your taxes, you include your property management fees. We include another 10% for vacancy and maintenance reserve. So that's what we do. 8 to 9%. That's what you'll get. That's our accurate estimates based on the ground numbers. If you're seeing properties, and everybody gets them in their inboxes, I'm getting them, 15% returns, 18% returns. Number one, they're leaving out most of the overheads I've just mentioned. Number two, they haven't bothered replacing a roof that's got a year left on it, and it's going to cost you $7,000 to do it. There's always something going on with those 18% properties. Okay. We also make sure you have a great property manager. That's key. Could talk all day about property management, and that you're properly insured. I mean, you need to work with insurance companies that are investor friendly, landlord friendly, that give you the kinds of coverage that you need, that aren't going to screw you whenever a claim is submitted. And of course, we make ourselves available before, during, and after you buy. I mean, here at Torcana, we do get a lot of repeat business. We get a lot of referrals, and that only happens because we take care of people that buy from us. Okay, so essentially we do all the work, and it's a lot of work. There's lots of people working 50, 60 hours a week in this company, so you don't have to. Most of our clients have full-time jobs doing a wide variety of interesting things, but what they all have in common is that they have some money and they want to put it to use. They know that they need to generate some passive income. They're looking for financial freedom. They know that takes long-term planning. You can't really start doing this when you're 60, 65 and hope everything's going to be fine when you retire. I mean, the best time to start is when you're as young as possible, in your 30s or your 40s, but obviously it's never too late. You're better off doing something now than never. But buying a property and renting it out and enjoying the income, and touch wood, enjoying some capital growth as well, is one of the best ways. It is the best way I know of growing wealth without subjecting yourself to the stock market volatility. We've seen how volatile it was in the last 2 months, as volatile as it's been in the last 10 years, and low bank deposits, low government bonds. We have some countries in Europe that are giving negative return rates. I mean, there's no profit to be made by leaving your money in the bank. Okay, so for me, real estate is a terrific way of securing your financial future. And just to let you know, we currently have 3 properties under renovation. This is as of the 9th of February. 3 properties under renovation, another 4 under contract. I'm hoping to buy another 2, this week and next week. Almost all of our properties are sold to people that reach out to us directly in advance of our public launches. So we do publicly launch them, but they're generally snapped up slightly before that or on the same day, because other people have gotten the preview. They're lined up, they've got their ducks in a row, they're ready to buy. They've reached out to us and told us about what they want and how to do business with them. So if you're interested in learning about what we do and how to earn money through these types of single family homes and rental properties, send me an email, colin.murphy@torcana.com. Go to the website, torcana.com. You can give me a call. My US number is 321-806-1195. You can also just get me on Skype, search for Torcana. And our blog, look at our blog, info.torcana.com, or tell your friends about our podcast. Either way, we'd love to hear from you. Really appreciate your attention. I mean, thanks for watching or for watching this video if you're watching it. Thanks for listening to the podcast if you're doing so. and I hope I'll hear from you soon. All right, you all take care and have a great day.